There we are. Well, happy Saturday morning, everyone. We made it to Saturday. Wow, we had such a great session yesterday. I'm still spinning from it. I just loved all the conversation. We just really had a great day. What we're doing today, I have a few things I'm going to start with before we get to the quilt. Now, the quilt, we're at the finishing stages. So, some of you may already have a good idea what you're going to do with the backing. Some of you, this may be new to you. So, I just share a few techniques on how to do the backing in this video. And and I'll share with you before we get to that some of the hearts that I made and a couple other little things I might be adding to this. But the backing will be the main event in this video today. But before we get there, um let's see. Someone had a comment, and it had to do, and our minds want to go to patterns. They just do. I mean, they do. It's like that's why the crazy quilts I think are really difficult to do. This is kind of difficult, at the beginning, and then you get into the flow of it. And oh, there's a few people there. Hold on here. Let me say good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Um, but the question was, how can I get scraps if I want to do a pattern? And I have to tell you, that question, I swear the universe works so perfectly. It really does, like without us knowing. Because I was having a conversation with, I came to find out is actually a neighbor of mine here, but we were having a conversation about her work, and I had was commenting it was a lovely pattern, and because uh, basically a lot of her work is she'll go buy the fabrics, right? You go choose the fabrics. Now, with that said, and you want to be environmentally conscious, guess what? Those bins in the back of the stores in Walmart or Joann's or wherever, those those bins, all of those fabrics may be heading to a thrift shop or to the landfill. So that's a great place to look for the bigger pieces of fabric that are bundled, and gives you plenty of fabric, different fabrics sometimes to work with to make your patterns. Now, here's another, and this is a little trick I learned over time with yo-yos, fabric yo-yos, because actually this viewer was talking about, I think, her yo-yo project. She wants to make a pattern, and with the yo-yos projects, you can make patterns. You can make pictures as you lay out those yo-yos to create a shape, a form, a flower, something, whatever you want, or abstract geos. But the thing about yo-yos, and especially depending which way you're turning it, if you're going to have the front facing or the back, the yo-yo is because the front of it is gathered. Okay. Let's say you're in the thrift shop and you're looking for blues. You may find 3 or 4 t-shirts the same kind of blue, or very slight variation. Same with red. Red is a really good example because we all know the red, what that red looks like. It's like the YouTube red. Um, and that those reds, there's many of them in clothing and in fabrics. But when you use a red and it has a very slight variation, it's still a deep red. when you're working a yo-yo project, especially, it's most likely going to pass as you're looking at the whole piece. So in that way, you can find um, fabrics that are red, um, and they may be different. They may be blouses, they may be t-shirts, whatever, but you're gonna get your red. So, and then when you create it, even though it's a different piece, when you put it down, you're not gonna be able to tell the difference necessarily. But, those are just a few tips. I mean, so the bargain bins in the stores, whether it's Walmart, Joann's, Michael's. I just saw a big ad the other day where Michael's actually has, uh, fabrics now. Now I've gotta get over there because I want to see, usually they have big clearance bins for their, yarn. So and they carry recycled yarn, so that's what I really look for. So I wanna see what they're carrying now for fabrics, so that might be something to check out. So I wanted to address that comment, and, so the other thing is I did put a link in the live. I was wondering if I could kinda go back on that, so I went back and put the link in the, live videos we did yesterday for, Denise and, her project she's working on, and for, Jillian Eve for the spinner. So, we've got those links are in there, and, so the other thing I wanted to address before we begin, this is, so Monday is the solar eclipse. Now here in Vermont, I don't know what time. Actually, I should be looking at what time that's at. I for some reason I'm thinking 1. Maybe I was reading it about 1, but I don't know. But the solar eclipse is here in Vermont. So I was looking for an event here nearby because I really don't want to travel to any of the nearby cities because we have an estimated 1 million tourists coming to Vermont because Vermont is going to be very clear. So the eclipse is supposed to be a good place to come. And they're saying Burlington, which is very close to me, and then Texas is in a very good path also. So those two states, and in between's very cloudy. So a lot of people are changing their destinations and going to either Texas or coming up here to Vermont. So given that, what I had planned to do Monday, and I'll probably just keep my plan because I think that it's in the afternoon this is occurring. But, the first thing is on Patreon, I do my update chat, and so I do that first thing in the morning. That's a video that drops, and then what I like to do, what I want to do Monday is go live in my studio, because I'm be prepping the yo-yo for the yo-yo quilt, and then I'll be dropping a video, um I will drop a brief video on YouTube. I want to start talking about the fast fashion industry, in related to recycled fabrics and whatnot. And but then there'll be another video over. I'll be dropping more information over on Patreon. So we're kind of teaming up, splitting up a little bit, and joining all the. I want to make sure it's everywhere. So with that, I'm going to put this camera down and I need to keep drinking my coffee because this is one of those mornings for me. It's still kind of rainy here and my age is definitely uh, saying, "Hey, do you know how old you are, Carmella?" And I'm saying, "Yeah, I know. I have a birthday coming up in a few months." Anyway, what I did I'm gonna put this up here, is I'm gonna get my we got a few parts to this, by the way. And oh, the other thing I wanted to show you before I forget is coming back home, I wanted to pull this out. This is a towel. This is gonna be a little video I'm gonna throw over on Patreon. And just because I don't think anyone's gonna notice it much on YouTube, to tell you the truth, but I think on Patreon, the people who are looking specifically for the sashiko, they might be looking. You see this little hole here. Now, first of all, this is one of those couple of layers of beautiful, beautiful soft cotton. It's a tea towel. It's very nice. So it has this little hole in it. Now, as some of you know, in Japan, especially as they build or rebuild or revamp their contemporary Boro designing clothing industry, they will go ahead and make tears purposely. I have to show you how they do it. Here, let me grab this. They use this, which is like a file block. It's a file block, and they hold the fabric up, like that, and they start filing it until it's shredded. So they go ahead and do that for style. And you know why? Because when we're going to do some of this, because when you do the darning, now you can call it darning, it's synonymous to the sashiko stitching, creating a web, stitching around this, and then you continue, which I love to do. You continue right around there, making some horizontal, vertical stitches, whatever your sashiko visible stitches, but you have mended it with simply thread, just simply thread. You're not putting any fabric, any patch. You don't have to do it. So we're going to do that. That's going to be a nice little project. But this is old, and this is one of those multi-layered cottons. So you can get a towel like this. If some of you were saying you were interested, and when you have the little band here, that this isn't actually, this is old because this is all cotton, but cut that out and save that as a nice little piece of fabric. And that just goes lovely on little projects with Boro, which a lot of you haven't seen my little projects. So I'll have to be bringing those to you. Those are things that I sell. They're little, so I can get them done. So I wanted to share that. And let's see here. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. First, I'm going to share. I cut out more strips like this because I fell in love with the flowers. So I want to make more of these flowers. And I'll be placing these on my piece. And there are some hearts here. And the hearts, I thought I would just kind of sporadically start placing the hearts. That's typically how I do it, and I turn them different ways. So I'm going to move this coffee, and so you can see there. And I just turn them, when you turn them different ways, they kind of have a flowy kind of effect. So I just kind of go like that. I think that one's backwards. And I look for the contrasting to so that they just really pop. So that's kind of how I do that. And I got a bunch of those, all different sizes, just so you can see. I just cut out a stack, and you don't have to use them all, but what it gives you is a choice. So if you feel like you want a bigger heart or something and you're going along Now, the other thing I wanted to show you with the hearts before we get to the backing is the same thing that you do with your little squares or rectangles is you can stack your hearts. So put that down so you can see. And making them smaller gives you that choice. So I just want to show you that. That is an idea for stacking. So those few things I wanted to communicate this morning. And so let's get to the backing because this is something that um, first I'm going to show you before I physically show you what I'm going to show you so you know. This is a piece I did a long time ago, and you can get a dowel in here. So the very first thing I want to say is you fold your sides. Fold the sides, not the top and not the bottom yet. Fold the sides. So when you fold the sides, you're going to be, if you want to have an opening for your dowel, so then you're going to fold from the back to the front. So that's how that's how this was done, and I'm going to show you that in a moment. This is actually just, you know what this is? This is these are mushrooms. They're different types of mushrooms, and I think I put gnomes in here. Yeah, there's little gnomes. And actually, we were talking about gnomes yesterday, but to somebody I was talking about gnomes. So, but that's the backing. Now this is a much bigger piece, and this is the same thing. Here's the backing, it's all one piece, and I I have had this out and hanging but with a dowel. So we put the dowel in here, but you do your sides first, you sew them, you can do your sashiko stitching. You do not need, see sashiko stitching, you do not need to do a machine stitch on this if you don't want to. It's strong sashiko stitching. So that one is also a back to front. And I just want to show you this other piece because um so you don't have to make the top opening if you don't want to. If I know some people don't have the top hem, they didn't use it. So you can do a back to back, or you can just do a back to front. And you don't have to worry about any of that. You can make it boxy, you can make it metered, whichever way you want. But I'll show you that in a moment too. So this piece is, if you look at the piece on the wall, this is the same sheet. But this piece, it's an open hem, so I can put the dowel in. But this is part of the sheet. Okay, now if I want, I can find a lacy piece to divvy up the hem if I didn't have it already there. So it was already part of it. But that's a way to dress up the hem. So with that said, I'm going to put this down because it's Saturday and I know people got places and things to do. This is the day to get that stuff done, but it's a good day to kind of get a couple tips too. So, if you want to have your have it so you have a dowel, you can put a dowel through it. Okay, so we're just pretend this hem. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take this hem away because if you leave your hem there and you're not doing a back to front, or you're going to do a back to back, you're probably choosing to decorate this. Okay, so for the people who do not have hems, because I know there's some out there who don't. Whoops, we'll pull this up. But let's say you want to do your dowel. What you're going to do when you fold this over, just like you folded this, you would normally kind of just fold the whole thing over, but what you're going to do is fold it in half, leaving very specifically right there. So when you sew this, you're going to sew right at the bottom of this. If you have to fold your little edges, if you have to fold those to reinforce it and make it, so you're able to sew this and it's strong. Get your edge the way you want it on your hem, and then sew right along the edge, not up in the middle, because then you have just sealed up your space, right? And but just right along the edge. And that's it. And then right here, just kind of give it a few extra stitches on your little corner, and then you go along your edge here. So that is back to front, allowing you to put a dowel through your piece if it's a wall piece. Now, so that's one way. Now, let's say you don't have a hem and you really don't care about, I'm trying to pull this up and I keep losing that. And you really don't care about having a space for dowel. So what you're going to do is you could do is on each side, do you do your if you do your side first, do the other side. If you do your top first, do your bottom, and then do your sides. Now, having said that, and you guys probably know this already, I've gone like side, top, side, top, and it was fine. Different on each corner, but fine. So, but anyway, so if you do that, don't worry. But anyway, let's say you do your sides first, fold them over. I usually do two folds. And the reason I do two is it just, for me, it just gives it a better, it's just more, um, it's stronger. Can I say that? Because it's two layers. And and when you sew it, you can sew right on the edge if you want, or you can sew, if you sew in the middle, your edge here is going to pop up a little, but it doesn't matter if that's how you want it. I usually try to sew to the edge. So anyway, you folded it over two times there, and here you're going to fold it also two times. Okay, so that's back to front, and that's lovely. That's lovely. I'm using this green because it's very pretty, but mine will be allowing for the dowel to go through. And the reason I'm not sewing any of this is because I'm not done with my piece. I have to first sew my hearts on and my patches. Okay, so this is like a box. I call this a boxy kind of a boxy corner. So anyway, you can do it that way. Now some people do the metered folding your corner, and I don't do metered a lot, so I'm not super duper handy with the metered, but you can do it. So you would go ahead. Whoops, I guess I'm going to fold that once now at this point. But and you fold that once down, and then I believe with this you can fold it, and you're kind of giving this, you're giving it a slant, an edge there. So let's see. This is our metered. That's your metered. I like the boxy. I work with that a lot. So I have done this. I mean, I've done it, but that's another back to front metered corner. So, now what I do a lot too is I do very simply back to back, and that's just simply folding. I don't know if that's gonna work because I didn't there we go. It's folding your backing to your base, like, just folding it. You're not doing anything to the front at all. So, I think is the easiest. I really do. But that is and what you're doing with this is you are folding your backing, you're folding that over. You're folding it. If you leave it if you do leave your backing with edges out, then it will totally fray. But the reason I don't do that is it makes it much stronger, and I haven't seen that done. Oh, well, I did do that. I'll tell you what. Let's see. I do have a piece where I have yeah, I'm gonna show you here. Now, look, this is a piece, um, this is a coaster, but it's like a boho style. I did all hearts, different hearts, and it's all scrap, so none of them match, but there's like 4 of them, and it's top stitched. These are not folded, but this is quilted. There's 3 layers here. So, I mean, depending what you're making and the style that you want, but I would fold like bigger pieces just to give them more of a strength, you might say. So, I hope that that helps a little bit. And oh, let's see, I didn't see anybody. Oh, hi there. Good morning. Is it normal for my pieces to be bunching up a bit after I've sewn them? Yes, that's normal. Actually, in Kawandi, they have a bunch. They expect a bunch right in the middle when they go around with Kawandi. They expect it. So little puckering. Now, I might ask, is the bunch is do you know the source of the bunch? Grab my coffee. I'm not on my game this morning. So, in other words, if the bunching is from excess fabric of your piece that you laid it over, um, that's something that you want to throw some stitches on there and just get them in place. If the bunching or like puckering is something that is you don't want to put stitches in there, but it's kind of bothering you. And you're like, I don't like the way that's popping out like that. What you can do, and I was going to surprise you a little bit, but what I'm doing with this piece, I'll tell you now, because I'm not good at holding in my surprises. You can do tie knots, just like the old-fashioned quilts. Part of the reason they did those tie knots was to secure the 3 layers and to pull in the fabric that was puckering or popping out a tiny bit. Sorry, it was the wrong buttons I meant to ask. Sorry, my type I hope you know what I'm asking. I think I do. Good morning, Brianna. I think I know what you're asking. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know when you all came in. I was doing the backing, um, and just showing the simplest way and the way that I love the most on for the backing is is this. It's the and you can certainly play around with it. But it's the back to front, just kind of boxy. This is the boxy kind I do. And that's the kind I really like it because I can fold this over 2 times. Now, also I want to say with to answer Brenda with that question, the other thing is, okay, how best to answer this? This piece, for example. This is a Kawandi. When we did the village, okay, the Kawandi here. This this bunches automatically. It bunches. When you start to sew it and you're putting all your stitches in there's no bunching. I mean, it's not visible. It's not an issue. So sometimes we're trying to fix our pieces and thinking we didn't do something right before we complete our process. Are you planning to do some sashiko stitching in each block? Because that would make a big difference also. Um, the sashiko stitching or some stitching or do a couple tie knots. And the tie knots are so adorable. You know, it's very much of an old folk tradition, Western type of way to create the quilts, but the tie knots, you can mix those with any method. Um, so let's see, I was gonna I pretty much wanted that's pretty much what I wanted to cover this morning was just this the backing and the different ways that you can do your backing. And the simplest way for people might be just the back to back and to make it nice and simple for yourself, just fold your back piece to the base. Now, some of you, um, but a couple things. You want to make sure everything's sewn onto your base. Now, I know at the beginning of this project, there were some artists who were going to add batting to their layers. They were going to add batting between their base and their backing. And now to when you do that, you want to make sure that everything is sewn onto the base. And then you want to consider how are you sewing your batting and your backing? Are you sewing your batting to your base first? And how are you doing that? Because when you come back around and you sew your backing, you could have uh two two of the same kind of stitch going around. So you just want to consider that. You could secure if you don't want the tie knots or you don't want stitching to show and you want to get rid of your puckering and you're adding batting, you could sew your batting to your base first, give it some stitches all the way through, leave your edges alone, and then when you add your backing, secure your backing and your batting in your top layer, your base, all with that same stitch. So you could do like that too. Um, I mean, or you could come up with some other method that we've been discussed. And that's creativity. If it works and it's secure, go with it. That's what I say. Um, so with that, I'm going to just put this down. I just kind of want to show you some of the hearts um that I know I showed at the beginning, but we've got a few more people now, and we'll just end like this. Unless now there's specific any other questions that you have on this whole process. Remember, creativity is the key. That's something I really I because we are always looking for the And I don't wanna say go recreate the wheel, um, and yes, there are answers out there in traditional ways to do things for sure. However, if it's not a way that works for you and you're not liking it, for example, and it's in a quilting book, it not my Boro inspired any book, and you have found a different way that works, um, go for it, you know? And, because who would think to put tie knotting on this? Now, I'm gonna put this down for a minute and just show you, some of the hearts again. Where did I put my hearts? I want to show you these hearts and the, let's see if I have my flowers here. I made contrasts of hearts, but I didn't specifically do any type of pattern. Oh, here's the stems. One thing that did strike me though is yesterday when I was making this flower over here, this flower I wanted more. I knew that right off the bat. Um and I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely making more. And then I came back around to the flower, which I don't know if you can see, but I added a teeny tiny little patch in there. Just I had this teeny tiny little piece. I just wanted to see how that looked for the stem, and it's adorable. So, so I made some different stems, different color stems, and I said, well, I have a vision where I'm going to be putting these flowers, and these flowers are cut out. This is another way to do your flowers, is cut them out from a fat quarter. Cut them out from a design of fabric that has flowers on it and make it your own, you know? You can even dress this up with other patches of fabrics. And so I'm gonna just kind of put this one over here, and I'm going to put it like that. I want it to go kind of like that for the moment. So anyway, I'll be adding these. And like I said, this may change. I'm accidentally pinning it to the sheet. Oh well. We'll take that off after. But and then the hearts, like I say, I just kind of flow. I have them kind of float and flow between the pieces, just going and even going upside down, you know, and then people have to turn it. And one of the pieces I donated last year or so, the hearts were just people saw the hearts first. I'm gonna tell you what, they saw the hearts first, and then they were like, "Oh, what is that? What kind of patchwork or what is that?" And then they were introduced to Boro, the Boro Sashiko. But this is what they saw first because this is a traditional form. It's a traditional shape, and it just jumps out at you. So that's where I'm at here. Now, so the next thing I'm going to be doing on this is I'm going to be sewing my hearts in place. I'm going to sew my hearts in place. I'm going to sew the flowers in place and then the backing. And then this will be done. Now, and then I'll come back around probably somewhere, like we'll be starting a yo-yo quilting project this next week. I'm thinking Tuesday, we're going to start that. Now, I don't believe by Tuesday I might. I might have everything sewn in place, but it probably will be more on the second video of the yo-yo I'll show at the beginning my finished piece. It might be Tuesday though, because this part of it, sewing on your appliques, for lack of a better description, your appliques, sewing them on to your appliques, sewing them on to your base, and then putting the backing on does not take long. You're kind of at the finish line now. So I could very well have this done Tuesday. The patching, the patchwork is really seriously that takes your time. And but I show you at the beginning Tuesday, most likely, if I'm done with this. And in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to ask them, and I will answer them as very best that I can. Um, and if you have any comments, let me know. And I hope that you have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you all on Monday on Patreon. And if come on over there, it's free for 7 days. And then I'll see you on YouTube Tuesday. So with that, you have a beautiful, beautiful day.